WWE reportedly signing a top free agent. This one is actually really shocking. We're going to talk about that, plus some plans for The Rock and John Cena. And yes, we are going to talk about WWE planning a WrestleMania post event, the Roast of WrestleMania. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit. Welcome back to the Ango Show, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get started. The Roast of WrestleMania. WWE has reportedly been discussing this new event featuring up-and-coming comedian Tony Hinchcliffe. You guys might remember him from Kill Tony. You might remember him from the roast of Tom Brady. He went viral several times. WrestleVotes has now come out. According to a well-placed source, WWE has discussed an outside-the-box idea of running a post-WrestleMania event in Las Vegas on Sunday night, April 20th. We're told the concept would be the Roast of WrestleMania featuring the comedic megastar Tony Hinchcliffe. Obviously, WWE continues to tap into the mainstream, right? Whether it's athletes or comedians or whatever. Obviously, they got ties to Netflix. They got so many big things just happening. I actually think this is a good idea. I personally watch Tony Hinchcliffe. I watch Kill Tony. I think what he does is really good. I think he's a really funny guy. And obviously, you know, we've seen the roast of Tom Brady and we've seen how viral it went. And I think if WWE were to bring some legends and maybe even some top stars, maybe we could get lucky and get John Cena there. Who knows, man? I just think WWE is all about getting those clips that turns into clicks, and those clicks turn into money, right? And obviously, if WWE can do that post WrestleMania and there's tickets being sold, I think wrestling fans would absolutely go to the event, right? So I laugh a little bit at the concept because this is not something that WWE has done before, but it does make a lot of sense for WWE to do something like this. And that's the thing, right? It's the WrestleMania week extravaganza. And obviously it's not actual wrestling content. You're not going to see people wrestling here. So it's cool. Like I'm down. I think this would be fun. I know if I was in Las Vegas for WrestleMania week, I'd probably be going to this. So I just think it's cool. It's something that brings attention to the wrestling industry. It brings attention to WWE. And whoever participates in the roast, maybe they get Jeff Ross, maybe they get some other comedians too. Nikki Glazer, like those are some of the big names in the roast game. Like that could be really sick, man. It could be really, really fun. Who knows, right? It's interesting that WrestleVotes has come out with this though, because WWE has obviously discussed this. It doesn't necessarily mean WWE will do it. I would like to see them do it. I think it would be really fun. I think a lot of people would enjoy it. And, you know, who knows? Obviously, we'll see what happens, but that's WWE tapping into the mainstream. That brings us to our next topic, The Rock and John Cena. Okay, this is crazy because Brian Gerwitz is basically saying, no, like this is not it. So just bear with me because I don't know if this is actually real or not. Brian Gerwitz, by the way, is the writer for The Rock. He's a guy that's been obviously a former writer in WWE. He came back when The Rock came back. So during the latest episode of WrestleVotes Radio, basically WWE sources have been discussing. This is so crazy, I swear, man. Basically, WrestleVotes came out. The unlikely yet shocking pair of The Rock and John Cena will have a strong promotion behind it as we move towards WrestleMania, with one of those ideas to label the duo The Rock and Soul Connection, which is a nod to The Rock's father, Soul Man Rocky Johnson. Listen, I don't know what the hell this is. Brian Gerwitz is shutting it down. Obviously, WWE has this plan for the duo. The reason why I don't believe this is because I do believe many more people will be joining this group. And I genuinely believe that WWE has a very big plan in place for The Rock and John Cena, which obviously if you guys watch this channel and you guys watch my live streams, we have been talking about it. But I don't think it would make sense to call it the Rock and Soul Connection, right? I just don't think that's the case. I don't think there should be a duo name. You know, I think if The Rock is leading this new faction or whatever it is, this new group that consists of Travis Scott and maybe Seth Rollins or maybe Drew McIntyre or whoever else decides to sell their soul, I think they'll obviously brand it themselves and they'll have a good name for it. And I'm not trying to take shots at WrestleVotes. I feel like WrestleVotes is often more accurate than not. But I think whatever's happening with The Rock and John Cena, I think you have to listen to Brian Gerwitz because, you know, WWE has calculated everything relatively well here. And to me, that's why I feel like it just makes a lot of sense that we are going to see whatever they have planned, whatever they put out there, has more than likely been planned for a while. And I feel like that's a really good thing. So obviously that does make me excited. And as far as John Cena goes, I don't like the idea of the name. You know, John Cena doesn't really need a gimmick duo name with The Rock. I don't think that's necessary. So let's not pretend that it is. The Rock and Soul connection just really is stupid, in my opinion. And, you know, some people are like, well, what about, you know, they did the thing with The Rock and Sock. You know, the thing about John Cena is it just doesn't fit in this particular situation. I really hope whatever WWE has planned for The Rock and John Cena really comes off well. I really hope, you know, I feel like they planted some really good seeds and they've done some really good stuff already. I'm more excited to see what happens before WrestleMania and then what happens at WrestleMania. But I think the build has to be there, and that's the more important thing. So keep that in mind. WWE is reportedly signing Jeff Cobb. Well, this is actually really interesting. So multiple reports, WWE is reportedly highly interested in Jeff Cobb. According to Fightful Select's Sean Ross Sapp, he says multiple sources indicate that WWE has been closely monitoring Cobb, who has obviously been working for New Japan Pro Wrestling. One source claimed that Jeff Cobb's name actually appeared on WWE's internal roster this week. However, Fightful couldn't personally confirm that themselves. Sources within AEW have stated that Cobb is not expected to join AEW, and with his status unclear with New Japan, it basically means that WWE's interest could lead to an acquisition. Now, this is crazy for a variety of reasons. And if you follow me and you know me well enough, then you already know what I'm going to say. AEW should have never put Jeff Cobb on television. They featured him many times. He was obviously not signed to their company. And I think that's a problem. If they're not signed to your company, you shouldn't be putting them on TV. I think AEW has lost a lot of people that way to WWE. So obviously that shouldn't be a shock that I'm pointing that out. I actually find this to be really shocking because Jeff Cobb turned down the WWE in 2021. So I thought for sure when he was on AEW television, I looked at it as, okay, his contract will end with New Japan and he'll go to AEW. So it's really interesting to hear that WWE is interested. And then it's also interesting to hear that he's listed on the internal roster, because you obviously don't put people on your internal roster if they're not signed. So a lot of people do have this belief that he is signed to the WWE. We'll obviously see what happens. Jeff Cobb is a great talent, phenomenal talent. The fact that WWE have Jeff Cobb and Jacob Fatu is absolutely mind-blowing. And dude, there's just so many great matchups and so many great things that you can expect. My personal 2 cents is this: put Jeff Cobb in NXT because they need a little bit of help with the men's main event scene. And then when it's time to move him up to the main roster, you do it. Let him be the one to dethrone Obafemi, and then I think all will be well. But there's also a good chance that maybe they don't put him in NXT and they put him straight to the main roster, which quite frankly, I wouldn't even be opposed to that either. The United States Championship pitcher needs some heavy hitters. Can you imagine Jeff Cobb and Jacob Fatu feuding for that belt? I can imagine it. I could get excited about it and I could get behind it. So let me know what you guys think down below.